The Browns get a shutout win at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Final score in this one, 27-0, indicated by the shutout victory. Browns' first shutout since that snow game back in 2007 against the Buffalo Bills that ended with the Browns win in an 8-0 score. I say a snow game, more like a blizzard game in that one, but the conditions were perfectly fine for this one, just the Browns defense shutting down the Cardinals offense and the Cardinals offense being who they are. The uncertainty at the quarterback position for both teams this week was high heading into the game. Well, not heading into the game, but in the week leading up to it. You have the Browns making the decision to start Deshaun Watson. Apparently, he felt good to go in this one. Cardinals waiting at least another week to play Kyler Murray for the first time this year. Instead, they opted to play 5th-round rookie draft pick Clayton Tune at quarterback position for the Cardinals. His debut went about as well as fellow 5th-round rookie draft pick Dorian Thompson-Robinson's debut went for Cleveland earlier this season against Baltimore. Cleveland sacked Tune 7 times. It was a big day for the interior defensive line, especially the defensive tackles all over the place. Kind of makes sense with Phil Taylor doing some of the pregame action. He was the dog pound captain doing the guitar smash and all those things. So it makes sense for the interior defensive line to go off like they did. Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, and Jordan Elliott were all impactful in this one. Tomlinson with 3 sacks. I think Jordan Elliott is a guy that has improved leaps and bounds this season compared to last year. Maybe it's because he's a little deeper in the rotation. Maybe there's something to do with the coaching. I feel like with all these defensive positions, everything about their increase in production has to do with the coaching, but with the position coaching, and maybe he's being taught some different techniques, I'm not sure, especially with Jim Schwartz seeming to prioritize defensive tackle a little bit more than Joe Woods did. You also have the defense forcing Clayton Tune to throw 2 picks. I mean, one of them was just kind of a bad overthrow that was caught on a nice catch by Denzel Ward, and the other one was Yone Takitaki making a really good read on a route and getting the interception for himself. Basically, pretty much every other play, every other defensively play called for some sort of celebration or some kind of celebration of some kind, and it was earned because they were making impact plays left and right. Jim Schwartz definitely going to have to get creative coming up with things to improve on for the defense. You know, you go through film and you always want to have something in order to build on. Again, Jim Schwartz might have to doctor some Madden footage and pretend like it happened in the actual game as far as things they need to clean up on defense. Some special teams things went right as well. Corey Bojorquez kicking a 73-yard punt that was down to pretty much right next to the end zone. I believe that was on the 1-yard line. Put that on the highlight tape at the negotiating table for the Browns this year because his contract expires after the season ends, and if Corey Bojorquez wants maybe a little bit of a raise, or if he wants to have some stability with the Browns, that's definitely one he should mention as far as if he wants to negotiate another deal. With Donovan Peoples-Jones now gone, the Browns have turned to recently signed to the practice squad receiver James Proscia to punt returning duties. Even had him in Peoples-Jones' previous number 11. They were sure quick to give that number up. As one week it's one player, the next week it's the next player. Weird deja vu seeing number 11 returning punts and it's not Donovan Peoples-Jones. You have Dustin Hopkins. He did miss a kick, but the game was pretty much already decided when that happened. You'd rather him not miss one, but if there was any time for him to go wide left on a kick, it was definitely this one. The offense didn't click as immediately as the defense or the special teams did. It felt like Deshaun Watson took some time to get back into things. His first touchdown pass actually went off of a helmet and just happened to fall into the hands of Amari Cooper off the deflection in the end zone. Kind of similar to how the interception was thrown by P.J. Walker at the end of last week's game. That drive where Amari Cooper had his touchdown catch, that was a drive following the Denzel Ward interception, so it's a turnover turning into points. I should also mention that Shelby Harris, another interior defensive lineman, he had a strip sack that pretty much forced deep in Arizona Cardinals territory, giving the Browns a really good starting position to get some more points on the board. And the offense did enough to eventually make it a 13-0 game at halftime, which at that point, that already felt like enough points to win because the defense, again, you could tell that they weren't slowing down anytime soon. I don't think there was any anticipation of Clayton Tune figuring out the defense in any kind of way. I'm glad Cleveland didn't have to do this to Joshua Dobbs, who had himself a really good showing with the Minnesota Vikings today. Although, if Dobbs was back there, I'm sure he would have been able to get something more going than a rookie making his first ever NFL start. The second half, essentially just a continuation of the dominance on defense, followed by the offense getting along fairly well. Deshaun Watson made probably his best throw in a Cleveland Browns uniform this week to Amari Cooper. It was a deep on-target spiral with defenders kind of in the area, so it definitely had to be an accurate pass, and it sure was. He also found a wide-open David Njoku on a short drive. That's what I mentioned earlier with the Shelby Harris strip sack, forcing the ball out deep in Arizona Cardinals territory, Cleveland taking over, ending up getting 7 points out of that. The concerning thing about the second half really was the injury bug that kind of hit, where you had DeJuan Jones going in and out of the game. He did finish it, which is a good sign, but him having to leave the game at all isn't necessarily nice to see. He did finish it, but again, might not be 100% moving forward. And then you get to Jed Wills, who, again, if asking some portion of Browns Twitter, you'd think he was the worst left tackle to ever play football. I feel like he's average with the potential to have good games and bad games, and then you kind of, the end result is you get an average left tackle. He also got hurt and came back in, but he eventually had to leave for good. He was carted off in an air cast, usually not a good sign for future availability. It would not surprise me to see news tomorrow that his season's done, but we have also seen an air cast in a cart be a little bit deceiving, so maybe it's just a few weeks, or I mean, I'm guessing he's going to miss more than one game. So health issues at offensive tackle continue with Jack Conklin already being out for the year. You also have DeJuan Jones and now Jed Wills. They're iffy with injury issues as well. Amari Cooper also panickingly seemed a little slow to get up a couple of times on a couple of routes, but it is encouraging that after one of the routes he did go to the sideline appearing to be hurt, but then he would later return to the game. Nice for him to tough those things out. Hopefully that means he'll be good to go for next week. And eventually, sensing the theme, Kevin Stefanski did put PJ Walker in the late stages of the game to replace Deshaun Watson. So that had no that outcome of Watson getting hurt and getting another injury had no chance of happening late in that fourth quarter. Now, the reason I'm so worried about these nagging injuries, even if some of them are just kind of like weird day-to-day, maybe game time decisions week to week, the Browns have a pretty big game against the Baltimore Ravens. They play the Ravens this week, and it's in Baltimore. And right now, the Ravens are just on a ferocious stretch of play. 2 of their last 3 games have been blowouts against a pretty good competition in the Lions and the Seahawks. Ironically, probably their worst performance was against the Cardinals, who are the team they didn't absolutely blow out, but they still put up a lot of points on the Cardinals offensively. And getting a win this week for the Browns was crucial to keeping up in the AFC North, as you had Pittsburgh winning over Tennessee on Thursday Night Football. And so next week, the Browns almost have to win this one, not in terms of like the season ends if they lose, but in terms of controlling their own destiny and as far as winning the division goes. Because if the Ravens take the next game over Cleveland, they will essentially have a stranglehold over first in the AFC North. And if Cleveland wants any shot of trying to get that division crown, not only will they have to go on a good run of their own, but they'd have to hope that the Ravens drop a couple of games along the way. But if they can beat Baltimore next week, they would put themselves right. They would still be in control of their own destiny, essentially, if they just kind of keep stacking wins, and the Browns can really have a fighter's chance of grabbing the division crown. But right now, Baltimore is a little bit out of reach, but next week is their chance to try to change that a little bit. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you didn't make it this far into it, leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you would like to see more like it. I talk about a lot of teams in the state of Ohio. You can let me know what you thought about this game down in the comments below and how you'll think the Browns could do against the Ravens next week. But once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you at the next one.